Hello, everybody. Yours truly, Frank Morano here. This is going to be a very brief video because I still have a ton of work to do for tonight's show and I still have to get showered and get going. And I'm just running way behind. I just wanted to remind you that tonight, even though it's Thursday, the next show that we do is going to be Friday morning at 1 a.m., which is going to be Ask Frank Anything. Oh, look at that. It's Jeffrey Lichtman calling. Let's see what he wants. We were just in the midst of scheduling an interview. Hey, Jeff, can I go right back 5 minutes? Okay, bye. Okay. Okay. There you go. Jeffrey Lichtman. Now, one of the things Jeffrey and I are talking about is scheduling an exclusive Facebook interview either tomorrow afternoon, Friday afternoon, or either Tuesday of next week at 1:30. Now, this is going to be exclusive for subscribers. Where it's actually going to be kind of a live town hall just for the subscribers. So if you have not yet subscribed to my Facebook page at 99 cents a month, this interview with Jeffrey Lichtman is worth the price of admission because he's going to be unencumbered by the constraints of FCC or radio or anything like that. So there's no telling what he might say. And we're going to take a lot of your questions. So whatever questions you have, we'll take them right in the midst of the Facebook interview. So that'll either be tomorrow, Friday at 1:30. That's what this call is about, scheduling it, or Tuesday at 1:30. He's got a sentencing tomorrow, so I think it's probably going to be Tuesday. But we'll take your questions live on the air. If you want to become a subscriber and you're not yet a subscriber, you can just go to facebook.com/become supporter/Morano fan. If Brandon is watching, he's got another way that is sort of a shortcut to become a subscriber. Brandon, if you're watching, please comment and we'll share that up here as we always do. A couple of quick things. One, if you didn't get a chance to listen to this morning's program yet, please be sure to do so. You can go to wabcradio.com/Frank. And I thought it was really interesting, especially the interview that I did with Lee Fang. Lee Fang is one of the best independent journalists in America. And we spoke about the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where the money for that supposed charity actually goes. We spoke about the Walmartization of America's military-industrial complex. We spoke about the protests that are going on in some college campuses and a wide variety of other issues. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to that yet, please check out the podcast and please share it. You can, if you don't go to wabcradio.com/Frank, you could just search The Other Side of Midnight on any podcast app. Hit the subscribe button and you'll automatically get all those new episodes each and every week. By the way, those of you that are watching, I see we have about 18 people watching now. Please share on Facebook, on Twitter, or on the YouTube. Please click like. That'll help more people discover this video. Or if you share this video itself, that'll help more people discover this video. So please listen to that Lee Fang interview. And if you already follow us on iTunes or elsewhere, what would really help us out is if you gave us a 5-star review on iTunes and wrote a little review about why you listen to the podcast, why you like the show. And that really does help spread the visibility of the show. Palma, my cousin Palma checking in saying your show was great. Thank you. Well, see, that's nepotism. If we weren't related, I wonder if she would say the same thing. Thank you, Palma. I'll take it in any event. Appreciate that. All right. Working on a couple of other things that I can't really say yet. One of the things we are doing, and this is going to be another subscriber-only event, is on Wednesday afternoon, probably around 1:30, 2 o'clock, we're going to do a subscriber-only town hall meeting with Paul Manafort. So that's going to be right here on Facebook, and you'll be able to watch if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe now, 99 cents a month. It is the best 99 cents a month you're going to be able to spend, because not only will you be able to watch it, which no one else will, at least not yet, but you will be able to ask questions to Paul Manafort himself, and he'll address those questions live on the air, as will Jeffrey Lichtman, either tomorrow or on Tuesday. So that'll be great. That'll be great. I had a great time last night at this Robert F. Kennedy Jr. event at the Lanier Mansion. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's a historic landmark. It's on 35th Street. It's one of the most beautiful private residences I've ever been in, especially in Manhattan. It was phenomenal. He gave a great speech. I'm really excited about his campaign, and it was good to be able to talk to him for a little bit and get a little bit of more of a sense of his vision for the country. He said he was excited to come back on the show, which he's going to be doing soon. And you know what sorry, you know what a sucker I am for these signed books. So he signed this book, which is really interesting, the Wuhan cover up, and he wrote a very nice inscription. And this is one of the nicer inscriptions that any presidential candidate or future president has ever written to me. He wrote, very kind, Frank, I'm so grateful for your friendship, Bobby Kennedy Jr., which I thought was really very sweet. And I was very excited by that. So that was nice. And I just ordered my Robert F. Kennedy Jr. lawn sign. Hey, I'm going to be at the Ferry Hawks game tomorrow night. Hopefully I will see some of you there. If you are at the Ferry Hawks game and you're there, please be sure to come over and say hello. I know we have a lot of people that watch these videos that don't necessarily listen to the radio show, and I think they tend to skew younger because the audience on social media tends to be a little younger than the talk radio audience. And I think they tend to skew a little less conservative, maybe a little bit more liberal, maybe a little bit more non-political. And it's so important that you guys, people that don't typically listen to this show, make a point to listen to it, because if our show doesn't continue to grow and to thrive, and thankfully it is, then the only thing that's going to be on talk radio is going to be the same as everything else. What we're doing on talk radio is so different, so interesting, so new, although in some ways it's very much a throwback to the old days of talk radio, that if we go away, then all of talk radio will pretty much be like what you hear on the radio all day long. So if you're someone that's not typically attuned to the AM radio dial, just listen on the app or listen on Alexa or listen however you can, even if it's podcast, but I'd prefer you to listen live, because our show is so innovative and so fresh and so new and so different than everything else that's out there, that but if we can show that people are listening to it and that we actually have more listeners than all the other shows, then that will actually provide such a fertile ground for future shows like ours who want to be a little creative and who want to do things a little bit differently. So that's that. Those of you that are watching, feel free to comment. I'll try and answer whatever your questions. At this point, we don't have any guests for tonight. So we have Ask Frank Anything in the first hour. So if you want to think of a good question, call in at 1 a.m. And we may even extend that beyond just 1 a.m. because there's no other guests. We also will have denunciations. I'm working on putting together a list of people to denounce. The other interesting thing on the local political front that I've been following is this drama involving the re-election of Lester Chang. If you haven't been following this, I did a local commentary on this the other day. Lester Chang is a Republican, first-term Republican representing Brooklyn. And the gentleman that he beat 2 years ago, Peter Abadi, who had been there for 36 years, now wants to run again against Lester Chang, and he's off the ballot at this point. So at this point, the Republican is running unopposed in what's one of the most competitive Democratic one of the most competitive assembly races in the entire state. So it's really rare to have a competitive assembly race anywhere in the state, but to have one of the few competitive districts in the whole state have no major party opposition, it's wild. Now, Peter Abadi may choose to do what Rebecca Seawright did when she got thrown off the ballot a few years ago and run as a third party candidate, but it's a much more difficult thing. But what Peter Abadi is doing is accusing his own former assembly colleague and the chairperson of the Democratic Party in Brooklyn, Rodnish Bishot Hermelin, of colluding with the Republicans to have him thrown off the ballot. And that kind of thing does go on in New York City politics all the time, especially when you have someone that's wearing two hats as both a county leader and an assembly member. A lot of times they'll get certain goodies in Albany for certain behaviors as a county leader. But you also have the issue of the patronage at the Board of Elections, and they make all sorts of deals about who's controlling which jobs at the Board of Elections. So it does seem like a rotten thing to do for her to throw her own former colleague under the bus, but it just goes to show you there's a huge civil war brewing in the Democratic Party in Brooklyn. And on one side, you have Justin Brannan and Peter Abadi, and on the other side, you have Rod Nish and really the other people in the Democratic Brooklyn Party leadership. But the other thing I would say is, I mean, I think it's a shame that Peter Abadi got thrown off the ballot, but he apparently tried to get one of the Chinese candidates that was wanting to run as a Democrat out of the race, and he did. He succeeded in getting them out of the race. But if you've been in the state assembly for 36 years and you've been in politics basically your whole life, and you can't find a way to get 500 valid signatures, I don't want to be unsympathetic because I hate when people get thrown off the ballot, but maybe you don't belong in the state assembly if you can't get 500 valid signatures. Speaking of signatures, we're watching the situation involving the Republican U.S. Senate race. It looks like at this point, the Republican standard bearer, Mike Sapercone, has had his two Republican challengers, Josh Eisen and Cara Castronova, thrown off the ballot. Cara Castronova, and I presume Josh as well, is going to court to try and get restored to the ballot. They said you need 15,000 valid Republican signatures. The Board of Elections is claiming that they have only 13,800. They've disqualified a bunch because people printed instead of signed their names, and they've disqualified a bunch because in certain parts of the state, you have to write your town or city, and in places like Long Island, folks think their town is their hamlet. Like my wife's family's from Mastic. So a lot of people in Mastic, if you ask them to sign and you put their town, they put Mastic. They don't put the town of Brookhaven. All those signatures got thrown out, and that's hundreds of signatures there. So it's going to be interesting to see if she's able to go to court and get any of those signatures restored. Okay, unless you have any other questions, I am going to get showered and head out. Looking forward to Ask Frank Anything today. You have 3.5 hours from now to think of an interesting question, a good question. Please come armed with a good question. Just call in at 800-848-9222. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this a little bit later, my thanks to everybody that is watching this. If you want to see my exclusive interview with Jeffrey Lichtman, which again will take place either tomorrow afternoon or Tuesday afternoon at 1:30, 2 o'clock, that is only for subscribers. So the only way you're going to be able to see that is to subscribe at facebook.com/become supporter/Morano fan. It's funny. Everybody has opinion about the show. I still think the show is pretty good, but others disagree. I just got a kick out of this guy on Twitter just now who tweeted the following. I'm going to see if I can pull this up here. He this is what he tweets. Can't wait to hear you talk tonight about the peaceful protests. Have Napolitano tonight or Dr. Scott. Your show is going down the tubes, bro. So I responded to KC Kid, aka Joey D70, that at least it was good while it lasted. So if the show is going down the tubes, at least we had a good run. That's why I need you to subscribe, because if the show is going down the tubes and I don't have any future on radio, maybe the people that are subscribing to the tune of 99 cents will be able to keep me in this house and keep me making a living. All right. Ask Frank Anything and denunciations tonight. Hopefully, I'll see a bunch of you tomorrow at the Ferry Hawks. Got the exclusive subscriber-only interview with Jeffrey Lichtman coming up in, either. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to delete something and it just popped up. Got that exclusive interview with Jeffrey Lichtman coming up either tomorrow or Tuesday, and then the exclusive with Paul Manafort, which you'll be able to participate in as well. Shelly saying, see you later, Frank. Thank you, Shelly. Shelly is a subscriber and a a great person. Those of you that don't want to subscribe, if you want to support the great work that we're doing, at least I hope it's great work, it's interesting work, you can still do so by sending stars if you're watching on Facebook. But if you don't want to do that, then I just appreciate everybody retweeting. Retweet what we're doing or reshare what we're doing. And it's really just tremendous help. All right. I will see you on the radio.